In this video, I'm going to talk about 4 or 5 reasons, I don't have time to count them up, 4 or 5 reasons why a racist white person might still date a black person. This video is inspired by a trending topic about this black guy whose white baby mama went off on him because he didn't like how he got their daughter's hair did. I'm also going to reach back a few weeks and talk about an incident where that black woman recorded her white boyfriend's racist rant. First of all, I don't know why either of them chose to broadcast to the world that they're horrible at picking mates. It's like going on Jerry Springer and telling the world you slept with your sister. Some stuff just needs to be kept to yourself, literally and figuratively. They may have thought they were exposing their partners, but they were exposing themselves just as much. I wouldn't want the world to know that I was either so desperate for sex, or so desperate to get a white girl, or possibly even desperate to have a biracial child that any white womb or any vagina will do, regardless of the type of woman that it's attached to. And for that black woman who recorded her boyfriend, that probably wasn't the first time he said something out of pocket. She probably rationalized it by saying he's talking about those other black people, and since I don't act like them, he's not talking about me. It's like if you ask a woman how she can listen to misogynistic rap music in which the rapper calls women bitches and hoes. What's her answer?
He ain't talking about me.
Just for the record, they're really not talking about me. Just so we're clear. So, without further ado, here are the reasons why a racist white person might still date a black person. This could apply to any race, not just white people, but I'm using white people as an example since the stories I'm talking about involve white people. Some of you may be asking yourself, what kind of relationship leads to a black man making a child with a racist white woman? Well, I'll tell you. I wasn't able to locate a copy of the video, but a few years back, this video surfaced with this black guy who's laughing as he sits next to a white woman who is totally ripping black women to shreds. She's talking about their hair and various physical features and certain things that they do, at least according to her. The black guy wasn't really saying too much himself, but he was laughing at what the girl was saying and he was kind of egging her on. And just to give you a few more clues to jog your memory, people were saying that this woman looked like Marilyn Manson or a tranny. Or both. It'd be awesome if somebody could dig up a copy of the video. But anyway, that video right there, that's exactly how a black guy could end up having a baby by a racist white woman. Now, I'm not saying that white woman was racist. She could have been making that video because she was pissed off because black women were messing with her. But the point is that this black guy did not understand how letting a white woman talk crap about black women's physical features could be problematic for his future biracial daughter. And not only did he not stop her, he filmed it and allowed it to be put online. The black guy doesn't have a problem with what the white woman's saying because she's talking about black women and not him. Sound familiar? But anyways, this brings me to my first reason why a racist white person might date a black person. It makes them feel superior. You could just tell that that woman thought she was better than black women. Throughout the years, I've seen various videos from white girls bragging about their features, talking about how easily they can comb through their hair and how they have green eyes or blue eyes or whatever. But then they go and make babies with black guys who have the same type of hair that cannot be easily combed through. A white man is a lot less likely to compliment a white woman for having hair that she can easily comb through. That's because something like that is commonplace for white people. He's also a lot less likely to compliment a white woman on having green eyes or blue eyes, especially if he has them himself. Perhaps if her eyes were a rare color of blue or green, or if there was something else unique about them other than just being blue or green, then maybe he would. But if she's just got your standard green or blue eyes, he's a lot less likely to compliment them. But a black guy who complains of black women wearing weaves and colored contacts might praise the hair and eyes of a white woman. Another reason why a racist white person might be willing to date a black person is because that white person is very average and they get more attention from people of another race than they do from their own race. Sure, this person might be a racist, but they're still a human, and humans need to feel loved. Okay, so here's my example. A few years ago, there was this white guy named Josh, and I think it was Sergeant Willie Pete who interviewed him, correct me if I'm wrong. But Josh said that despite being 300 pounds, he had no problem pulling black chicks. If I remember correctly, Josh seemed to be implying that a lot of these black women were drawn to him because he was white. In general, a guy being white isn't going to catch the eye of a white female unless maybe they're in some kind of situation where they both go to a predominantly black high school and there are only two white people there. But in regular life, a white guy is going to have to bring more to the table than whiteness to attract a white female. Now, some of you out there might think that Josh was lying about how easily he could get black women. Well, he may have been, but his point still stands. And I know this because when I look on YouTube and see a video made by a non-black male talking about how much he likes black women, that video usually has thousands of views, and that's pretty much regardless of how good looking the guy is. There's a Christian comedian on YouTube who uses the name KevOnStage, and he interviewed a regular looking white guy about why he likes black women. That video has over 119,000 views, and it's one of KevOnStage's most viewed videos. Just to be clear, I'm not saying all or even most black women would be interested in the guy in KevOnStage's video or Josh. I'm saying that there are enough black women interested in them to give them plenty of women to choose from. Which is why Josh could say, assuming he's not lying, that he had no problem pulling black chicks. The thing about Josh is, I don't think he really likes black women. When he was asked what type of black women he preferred, he said he preferred the light-skinned ones with the quote-unquote good hair. And if I remember correctly, he said he preferred Latinas even over that. Okay, so why didn't he go for the women he really wanted? Well, I think it's either because he couldn't get them, or he didn't have the confidence to go after them. This brings me to my next point. It's the best they can do. This will be the one example that doesn't include a black person. There's this half-Asian guy on YouTube by the name of Eurasian Writer, and he makes videos about relationships between white males and Asian females. He pointed out that there are a number of white men who are white nationalists, yet they are married to Asian women. How could that possibly be possible? Eurasian Writer believes it's because these white men aren't able to attract the white women they really want, so they go and get the next best thing, which to them is an Asian woman. These white guys pick Asian women because they have white skin, and these particular women are willing to worship their whiteness. And speaking of white nationalists who date outside their race, we have the Veganator. When I first got to YouTube, I spent several months debating white nationalists, and this guy sounds exactly like them. He has all the same talking points. I watched some of his videos and he talks about the white race being bred out, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, and how is you dating a black chick helping with this situation? He has yet to address how he reconciles his white nationalist beliefs with dating a black woman, but anyway, this brings me to my next point. Fetish or uncontrollable attraction. This is when you have a person who really doesn't like black people, but for some reason they are inexplicably and uncontrollably attracted to them. It's kind of sort of like a guy who hates gay guys, but he's actually gay himself. It's just an analogy. Or you might have a white girl who comes in contact with black guys as fine as Brian White, or as beautiful as Usher, or as sexy as Odell Beckham.
Girl, I know you want that dirt.
She can't help but to get caught up in all that black handsome and swagger. So she allows herself to date that fine-ass black guy, or even several black guys. But she never really confronts how she feels about black people as a whole. But she does let that black guy fill her hole.
Oh, okay. I see what you did there.
In her heart, the hole in her heart. That's what I meant. Anyway. And then she slips up, gets pregnant, and then a few years later, this happens. She didn't want a biracial baby. Just because she sleeps with you doesn't mean she wants your babies. I know, it's crazy, right? There's a disconnect in the logic of a white man who talks like a white nationalist, whether he calls himself that or not, but yet he dates a black woman. And there's also a disconnect in the logic of white girls who don't want biracial children, but yet they sleep with black guys. That's all of my 4 or 5 reasons. I still don't have time to count them up. What would you add to the list?